Welcome back. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and in today's video we're going to look at how you can grade Apple ProRes log that was shot in the iPhone 15 Pro Max. This is going to work for any iPhone that shoots ProRes log. Everything was recorded using the native camera app and then storing to an external USB-C drive like the one I have right here. So let's just jump right into it. I've got a few clips that I shot of me and the family doing some hiking out in the woods. And we're going to look at how you can grade these to make them look really nice. So the first thing you're going to do is import all of your footage from your media pool and get it into your timeline. And then we're going to jump over to the color tab. And in the color tab, we're going to set up a few nodes here. So let's do the first one. I'm not going to make this overly complicated. There's much bigger workflows that you can do when you're setting up kind of your node grades. But I'm just going to keep it really simple for this one, and I think you'll really enjoy the results. So the first node that we're going to create is going to be our color space. So we'll label it color space. Then we're going to create another node that we'll call image. Then we're going to create another node that we'll call white balance. And then finally, we'll create one more node and we'll call this color. And just to give you a rundown of how I'm going about using these nodes, the first node is going to be our raw image, which is the log footage. The second node is going to be our color space transform. So we're going to use a built-in feature from DaVinci to transform the color space of the image. And then I'm labeling this one image as a way to sort of reference the brightness, shadows, contrast, things like that. And then white balance, of course, is going to be white balance. And then color is going to be any kind of additional colors that we might add onto the footage after the fact. So if you'll notice down here in the scopes, I've got the waveform selected and it looks pretty flat, just like the image does because it's a log image. So the first thing we'll do to correct that is go to the color space, and then we're going to come up into the right-hand side where we have all of our filters, and we're going to search color space transform. We're going to grab this filter, and we're going to drag it right onto this node. This is a super cool feature of DaVinci Resolve. There's several ways to do this, but I like to do it per clip if I can because I shoot with a lot of different cameras. And so like a blanket timeline color convert might not exactly work if I'm using 3 different cameras in a video. So the first setting that we're going to do is change the color space input, and we're going to drop this down, and because this was shot in 10-bit in ProRes RAW, we're going to come down and look for Rec 2020. And you'll see as soon as I do that, we get some colors being added into the footage. So now we have to choose the input gamma. And the input gamma is going to be very specific for Apple. It's going to be Apple log. And you'll see once we do that, we get a little bit more contrast, quite a bit more contrast actually. So we're not done. We need to choose the output color space. And this is typically a lot of the times going to be Rec 709 because we're sharing it online and we're not in a professional movie scenario with our iPhone footage, although you could be. And then the last setting is going to be the output gamma. And you can kind of vary this depending on what you're trying to do, but I usually use gamma 2.5. That creates a pretty nice image here. So fantastic. This is getting us really close to where we want to be just in this one step. And if you'll notice, when I turn it on and off, we have the before and then we have the graded, sort of pre-graded image using the color space transform. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the scopes and I'm going to see that there's nothing really being clipped. So we need to increase the brightness on this one. And to do that, we're going to go down to the gain and we're going to just bump the gain up a little bit. And that's going to make our image just that much more bright. Simple. Then the next thing I'm going to do in this same image node is boost the shadows just a hair. Maybe that was a little bit too much. And then I might add just a little bit of contrast. Perfect. All of these adjustments are very slight adjustments unless you have some kind of an issue with your image where it was underexposed, hopefully not overexposed, because that tends to be a lot harder to fix. But this, just where we're at right now, really shows the power of the iPhone. I mean, this clip right now is already fantastic. The quality and being in 4K, and you know, the fact that you can come down here and make it slow-mo as well is really nice. All right, so let's continue on to the white balance. This can be sort of a preference. I'm using the standard automatic color balance in the iPhone native app. So, you know, generally the color balance on this image looks pretty good, but maybe we want to make it just a little warmer. So we'll drop down our waveform and we'll go into the vector scope. And we can see it's pretty warm already just from all of the trees and stuff, but maybe let's make it just a touch warmer to sort of bring out some of the warmth from the trees. Alright, that wasn't too much, just a very slight adjustment. And then lastly, we'll go to the color. And in the color, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to the curves, and in here what I'm going to do is go to the curves, and the first one I'm going to adjust is the hue versus hue. And you can pinpoint individual colors like this, but what we're looking for is more of a sweeping curve. So I tend to choose the primary colors down here. So I'll choose the blue, and I might just bring this out a little bit so I can get this one a little bit more centered, and you can see we have a peak right here. So what I'm going to do is just drag this up slightly, and actually, just so you can easily see the before and after of this, I'm going to do a node with a split. There we go. That way you can see the before and after live as I'm making the adjustments. So we changed the hue of the sky here. Now the next thing I'm going to do is go into the reds and the yellows and see if I can adjust the yellows on these trees, because this is sort of the highlight aspect of the image. So we'll see if I can adjust these up just a hair. That's looking really good. So you can see these leaves versus these ones, because this is a split node. Now the next thing I'm going to do is just hop over here to the hue versus saturation, and I'm going to do the same points. I'm going to increase the saturation on the sky, and then I'm going to increase the saturation on the reds. Reds, yellows. Alright, let me turn this off and we can see the full image. So here's before, here's after. Really nice. Now there are a couple other things you can do on top of this, and one thing that I like to do is add an additional node that just kind of makes a vignette. And to do that, we'll add the node, and then we'll come down here into the Windows tab, and we will add a circle window. I'll just drag this across the image like this. We'll want to make sure that we get the blur pretty big. And then we'll come down and sort of drag the gamma down. And before we're finished, we'll come back to the Windows tab and we'll go all the way to the right and we'll invert it. So as you can see here, this is giving us sort of a vignette to the image. That might actually be a little too dark. Just slight movements. There we go. So this is looking really nice, and you don't have to stop here. You can continue on with your colors, but I'm going to stop here on this one just because I think this is a good place for you to get started with grading your images. So I have a few more tricks that I'm going to show you that can help increase your speed of your workflow when you're grading footage like this. But before I do, if this video is helping you at all, please consider subscribing down below. We would really appreciate it. So now you've got your initial grade. One thing you can do to increase your workflow speed is to just simply go over your main video image, right click and choose grab still. And if you'll notice, this is going to add what DaVinci Resolve labels as a power grade or a still in the left-hand side under gallery. And what's great about this is that you can now navigate to the next clips that you might have, like this one. Let's see. Let's find a really cool one. Oh, that one's already graded. This is a really cool one. I love the way the sun comes through the trees. So we're on our new clip, and what we'll do is we'll come over to that grade and we'll right click on it and say apply grade. And you'll notice that we have all of the same settings as we had in our previous one. So for example, in this image, it's looking a little dark. So what we might do is go to our waveform and our image, and then maybe we can increase the shadows. There we go. And that is looking really cool. And for one last tip, one really cool thing about DaVinci is that you can actually make your own custom LUTs. So let's say you've got this really cool grade that you've done and you're constantly shooting with your iPhone, and so you want to make it really easy to be able to have your LUTs in your LUT panel here. All you'll do is up at the top you'll hit clips, and you can see DaVinci lists the clips. Now you'll navigate to the clip that you have your grade applied to, and you'll right click and then you'll say generate LUT. And here you can generate, don't do this Panasonic one, but do a 65 point cube. And that's going to create a LUT for you that you can then add into your LUTs panel on DaVinci Resolve. You can also then use that LUT in something like the Blackmagic camera app for the iPhone 15. So you can see your LUT as you're filming. So really cool stuff. I hope this video helped you guys. If it did, please let me know down in the comments, and stay tuned because we'll be posting more quick DaVinci Resolve tutorials.